The film begins with a woman named Annie who has moved to a new house with her mom and 3 children because she had a fight with her husband due to some issue and now has to raise her children alone. Annie's mother was suffering from cancer but believed that she was alive only because of God. She was very religious and used to go to church daily. She had great faith in God and prayed regularly. However, Annie was not at all religious, and neither were her 2 sons, hence they did not go to church. Only her daughter went to church with her grandmother. Ever since the fight with her husband, Annie had become quite disturbed. She drank a lot of alcohol, was very strict with the children, and was very stingy with money, which made the children dislike her. She didn't get along with her mother either. While they were eating, Annie's younger son Andrew asked for milk, but Annie refused, saying that the doctor had said he was allergic to milk and shouldn't have too much. Andrew retorted, "No doctor said that. You're just being stingy." Hearing this, Annie got angry and slapped Andrew, causing blood to come out of his mouth. Annie cleaned his mouth and apologized, saying, "I am sorry, son." It was already late at night when Annie's daughter complained to her dad, saying that even after moving to the new house, Mom was doing the same things, drinking again, and behaving badly with them. While she was talking about this, she suddenly smelled something. Meanwhile, while Annie was doing her work, a fly started bothering her. She saw that many more flies had entered the room and were coming from the basement. When Annie opened the door to the basement, she noticed a very foul smell coming from there, and chased the flies with her clothes towards the basement, closed the door, and walked away. At 3 o'clock in the night, Andrew suddenly woke up feeling hungry. He went to the fridge, took out some milk, and started drinking it, but then there was a loud noise at the window, which scared him. When he went outside to check, he found a dead crow lying there. It was the same crow that had hit the window. The next day, when the 3 siblings were coming back from school, some boys started calling out to Andrew's elder brother, harassing him. One boy even threw a stone at him, injuring his head, but he did not retaliate and quietly walked away. At home, Annie found a liquor bottle in her elder son's cupboard. When he came home, she asked, "What is my liquor bottle doing in your cupboard? Since when did you start drinking?" Her son replied, "Mom, I don't drink. I kept it hidden to prevent you from drinking." Annie asked her daughter how she got hurt, and when she told her about the boy who hit her, Annie got very angry and immediately went to the street. She found the boy, went inside, beat him badly, and warned him to stay away from her children. Then, when she was sitting, the flies started troubling her again, this time coming from the basement. She saw Andrew talking to someone alone and asked who he was talking to. Andrew said he was talking to his friend Trey, and found this strange but didn't think much of it. That night, Andrew went to the basement and Annie started hearing strange noises again. When she came down to check, she found the basement door open, which Andrew must have left open. She closed the door and went to sleep. The next day, when Annie's mom went to the hospital for a checkup, she learned that the money for her treatment was not coming from any organization, but that Annie was paying for it without informing them. After understanding why Annie was so stingy, she felt grateful. At night, Annie's son saw that she had drunk a lot of alcohol again, which made him feel very bad. When Annie came, her mother said, "I learned that you're paying for my treatment. I don't know how to thank you, daughter." Annie replied, "You don't need to say anything, Mom. This is my duty." After saying this, she went to sleep but then had a scary dream. A man had entered her room. Suddenly, Annie's eyes opened in fear, and she saw the door was open, which then closed forcefully as if someone had just left the room. It felt like someone was definitely in the house. Thinking that a thief had broken in, she took a bat and started checking downstairs but didn't find anyone there. Then she noticed that the basement door was still open and now an even worse smell was coming from there than before. This made Annie heartbroken. She started vomiting, and then her elder son came from behind and said, "When you checked my cupboard, why did you take my money from there?" Annie said, First of all, tell me where you got so much money." He told her that the money was from his dad. "I am saving money so that I can go somewhere else because I don't want to live with you." He asked for his money back. This made Annie angry. She slapped her son on the face. Her son also got angry and pushed Annie, causing her to fall down. It seemed as if she had lost her mind. She got up to hit her son, but then Andrew started coming to help his brother. However, he collided with something and fell down. Annie's elder son taunted her, saying, "Wow, Mom, you are performing the duty of being a very good mother to your children. You should get an award for having the best name." After saying this, he left in anger. After some time, Annie put his money back and said, "Son, please don't leave me. I am trying to change myself. I will live with you guys with love." Now troubled by flies and the bad smell, the next day Annie called pest control. They checked the basement and found a dead cat there. However, the worker asked for a lot of money to remove the cat. Annie did not have that much money, so she refused. But then her elder son came and gave the money to the worker. The next day, a social worker also came to see how Annie was living with her children and whether they were living well or not. In fact, Annie's daughter had complained to her dad, so he had filed a case that Annie was not worthy of custody of the children. The children should live with him. She drinks and beats the children. The social worker noticed that her son had a mark on his arm. Andrew also had an injury, which she reported. She asked them about it, but the children didn't tell her anything and avoided the matter. The social worker understood that the children were hiding something. Surely Annie had beaten them, so she scolded Annie and left. They came out and saw another woman keeping an eye on them, but they thought she must have come with the social worker. The next day was Annie's son's birthday. Annie threw a birthday party and gifted him the expensive phone her daughter had been asking for so long. Her daughter became happy and hugged her mother. During the party, Annie heard a thumping sound coming from the basement. When she checked, she found Andrew standing there, banging his head on the door, and his behavior was very strange. Annie was surprised to find him there and said, "I had put you to sleep upstairs, so what are you doing here?" Andrew replied, "I came to visit my friend Trey, who lives in a hole in the basement." Annie found this strange. When she checked on Andrew, she found he had a high fever, so she took him back upstairs to his room and put him to sleep. After the party, Annie saw Andrew standing downstairs again. This was the third time he had gotten up from his bed. Since Annie was also very sleepy, she sent Andrew upstairs again and went to sleep. But at midnight, thumping sounds started coming throughout the house. This time, everyone heard them. Annie shouted and told the children not to make noise and sleep quietly, but when the noises still didn't stop, Annie got angry. She went to check on the children, and they heard the sounds of children screaming. Hearing these sounds, Annie's mom also came and saw the children sitting scared against the wall, with Annie sitting in front of them in a strange condition. Annie's mom felt very strange after seeing this. She asked the children what was happening, and they said that Mom was throwing them against the wall. Annie cried and said, "No, Mom, I did not do anything like that." The next day, all three children went to school and started doing strange things. Andrew even went to the toilet during class. Not only that, but he also started eating it, and when the teacher forbade him, he threw it towards the teacher. His sister went to her teacher and said that she was bleeding from her body, indicating a female problem. When her elder son was in class, he started laughing loudly during a lecture. The teacher tried to stop him, but his laughter was unstoppable. He sat on the ground and started laughing even more. After this, the three children were taken to the hospital for brain tests. During this, when Andrew was shown a picture of a crow, he called it Trey. After testing all three children, the doctor told Annie that the reports were absolutely normal and the children were fine. Hearing this, she started arguing with the doctor, saying, "My son did all that after using the toilet. This is not a normal thing. You must have made some mistake. Please do the test again." The doctor got angry at this and, as soon as she came back, started questioning Annie about the injury marks on the children's bodies. "You first tell me how it happened." Annie did not give any answer and silently walked away. Annie's mom came out and told her, "You were arguing with the doctor secretly. She is right that the reports are normal and the children are fine. Because according to me, something else has happened with the children, something paranormal. I think there is some evil spirit in the house, and it is doing all this." After coming home, Annie's mom put a cross on the wall. Annie said, "Mom, all these are useless things, they do nothing." Then, when Annie went to bathe Andrew, she saw that her elder son was holding Andrew tightly and trying to drown him in the tub. Annie immediately ran and tried to free Andrew, but her elder son was holding him very tightly. Using all her strength, she pulled her elder son away, thus saving Andrew's life. Then Annie's mom also came. Annie's elder son started crying and hugging his grandmother, saying, "I don't know why I was doing this. It seemed as if someone else was making me do this." For a few days, because of such strange things happening with the children, Annie kept them from going to school. The social worker also came to know about this, so the next day she came to see the children. But Annie did not allow her to meet the children and tried to explain that very strange things were happening with them. Annie's mom got very angry and pushed the social worker out of the house with a bat. The same strange woman who had been taking their pictures appeared again. Annie's mom abused her too and drove her away. Later, Annie's mom went to her church people to ask for help. She told them that there was an evil spirit in their house and asked for help, but the church people refused, saying they could not help in this matter and suggested she ask for help from someone else. On the other hand, the same unknown woman came to meet Annie, whom she thought was the social worker's colleague, but she was someone else. She told Annie, "I know you are worried. Strange things are happening to you because your house is haunted. I have been sent by God to help you because I am a priest." She told Annie about the history of the house and showed her a picture of a family, saying that a family used to live in this house 20 years ago. The same thing happened with their younger son, which is now happening with your son Andrew. They had tried every possible way to treat their son, but it did not make any difference. Then they talked to me and asked for help. After hearing this, Annie said, "Then you must have performed an exorcism on that child, calling the spirit inside the child and driving it away." The priest said, "No, I am not an exorcist who performs exorcisms. I am a deliverance minister. Deliverance is different from exorcism. To drive away an evil spirit, we do not have to call anyone inside. We only touch the evil spirit with something holy, like holy water or any such clean thing, and it is exorcised. It seems that there is a spirit inside your son Andrew at this time." The priest explained further, "But at that time, I was not successful in performing the deliverance. I failed, and I could not save the child. He died, but even after the child's death, everything remained the same. After some time, the child's mother did not know what happened. At midnight, she killed her sleeping husband, chopped off his head with an axe, and then killed herself." Now Annie asked the name of the child who died first, and the priest told her that his name was Trey. Hearing this, she was shocked and told the priest, "Andrew has created an imaginary friend whose name he told me was Trey." The priest said, "He is not a friend, but an enemy, because he is a devil who comes in front of children in that form to deceive them. That's how your sons are being affected." Now Annie got angry after hearing this because she didn't believe in evil spirits or the devil. She told the priest that what he was saying was nonsense and started leaving after scolding him even more. But as she was leaving, the priest forcefully gave her his address and said, "Keep it. You will need it. You will come to see me." On the other side of the house, Annie's mom heard a demonic voice calling her name. She got very scared and quickly went to get the book, but when she returned, all the demons in the house attacked her and killed her. When Annie came home, she saw that the cross on the wall was burning, causing smoke to spread all over the house. When she went to extinguish the fire, she saw her mother's dead body lying there, which scared her and made her start crying. Then Andrew came down the stairs, and from above, she heard 2 children screaming. Annie immediately called the children. On the way, Andrew's behavior changes a lot. He tells Annie, "You are responsible for your mother's death," and suddenly his eyes turn completely black. Seeing this, Annie gets very scared and jumps. Her attention gets diverted, and she is unable to see the truck coming from the front. But before the truck hits her, she takes control of the car at the right time, then stops the car and goes to a nearby hotel to ask for help. She says, "Someone will kill my children." When those people went to see, everything was absolutely normal, and the children were also sitting fine. Seeing this, they got very angry at Annie and started calling her crazy. After this, Annie's brain is tested. The doctor asks her if she still drinks alcohol, but she lies and says no. However, the doctor catches her lie because her drink test came back positive. Hence, the custody of the children is taken away from Annie and given to a church. The children are taken away in front of her, and she is unable to do anything, she just watches. Because of all this, tears fill her eyes, and now tired and defeated, she goes to the priest and the social worker in the hospital to ask for help. She comes to see Andrew, whose condition was worsening. She tells Annie that Andrew is acting very strange. I don't know what kind of sounds he was making. A few moments ago, he was talking in another language. On the other hand, the priest tells Annie, "Your home has many demons, and one of them has possessed your son Andrew. Through him, it is able to control your other 2 children as well. He makes weak people like you his victims. But now I will make you strong and teach you to believe in God." The priest gives Annie courage and teaches her to pray. When the social worker goes to talk to Andrew in the hospital, he says in a devilish voice, "I am not Andrew." When she asks, "Then who are you?" with a demon inside, Andrew says, "First unbuckle my belts, and then I will tell you who I am." The social worker replies, "I am not going to do anything like that." Then the demon uses his full force, breaks his bonds, jumps straight from the bed to the ground, and starts climbing the wall with his hands and feet. Seeing this, she gets very scared and quickly goes to tell the doctor about it, but the doctor ignores her words. Annie cleverly comes to the hospital disguised as a nurse and takes Andrew out of the hospital, where the priest is waiting for her in the car outside because they are about to perform deliverance. Both of them go to the same haunted house with Andrew. The priest tells Annie that during the deliverance, the demon will try to trick them and trap them. He can also take the form of any of your family members, so don't worry and be careful. During the deliverance, the priest pours holy water on Andrew, causing the demon to suffer. Suddenly, the demon takes the form of Annie's mom, abuses her, and starts making fun of both of them. But the priest ignores the words and continues the deliverance. Suddenly, the demon frees himself and starts laughing loudly. Meanwhile, strange things start happening with the 2 children in the church. Anne's daughter starts bleeding from her eyes and mouth. At the same time, her brother's hands become like a demon's, with big nails that he uses to scratch his own chest. The priest sends Annie upstairs and starts facing the demon alone, but the demon takes the form of Andrew and disappears. Before the priest can understand anything, the demon grabs her by the throat and starts throwing her against the wall. He treats her very badly. Sometimes he drags her by the hair, sometimes he hits her, and sometimes he flies her in the air and then throws her down. After some time, Annie comes down to check and sees that the priest is lying on the ground in an injured condition and Andrew is sitting near her and laughing. Then suddenly, he disappears. Annie goes to the priest, whose condition is very bad. She tells Annie that she has failed and gives her holy water, saying that now Annie will have to do the work. After saying this, she commits suicide. Annie starts searching for Andrew and, while looking for him, comes to the basement but does not find Andrew anywhere. Then suddenly he appears in front of her. Without wasting any time, Annie pours holy water on him, causing the demon to feel troubled. He gets angry and attacks Annie, dragging her by the hair and then taking the form of Annie's mom, trying to strangle her. But the demon does not kill her because he wants to torture her. He tortures her to weaken her. When Annie is completely broken, he comes to kill her. He tries to kill her by strangulating her with his foot, and Annie is close to death. In her thoughts, she sees her mother, who makes her talk to God. As soon as this happens, good thoughts and courage come inside Annie, and all the evil inside her goes out. She becomes very powerful because she starts trusting in God. Once again, she delivers the demon from Andrew, who starts burning and completely burns to ashes. As soon as this happens, Anne's daughter, who was flying in the air in the church, comes back to bed and becomes completely normal. Annie's son, who was harming himself, also stops, and the demon goes back to hell through the same hole in the basement from where he came. Everything becomes completely fine after this. 6 months later, Annie gets custody of her children back. She and her children are very happy. Annie leaves not only the house, but also the city. She reconciles with her husband, and they decide to live together as a happy family. Annie has completely recovered and given up drinking alcohol. The family decides to live together forever. This story ends here with a happy ending.